Hi, I'm Colin Seale, the founder of thinkLaw, where we help educators teach critical thinking to all students. And I'm excited to share the top 3 reasons all educators must prioritize Hispanic Heritage Month. As many of you know, Hispanic Heritage Month happens every year between September 15th and October 15th. But one of the things that really caught me off guard was at thinkLaw, we have a Teachers Pay Teachers store where we share different resources, especially tied to different themes and current events. And when we put some lessons up there for Hispanic Heritage Month and was looking for a tag to mark this, mind you, Teachers Pay Teachers is one of the largest sources of teacher instructional materials in the country. There was a tag for Black History Month. There was a tag for Women's History Month. But there was no tag for Hispanic Heritage Month at all. And I thought, if this is a sign that educators are not valuing and prioritizing this, I at least wanted to clear the record to share at least 3 reasons why we must really shift the way we think about this and prioritize Hispanic Heritage Month in our instruction. First, there is such powerful value when it comes to critical thinking instruction with a Hispanic Heritage Month frame. So if we think about history as a set of learning about facts and figures and dates, we're really missing the boat, especially since 95% of that can now be found on Google. If instead we think about history, both ancient and newer, in light of the groups that are impacted by the mainstream narrative, particularly groups that are historically marginalized and oppressed, it changes the lens. So when we think about some of the great migrations in this country, when we think about the policies that have been passed, when we think about how people got out of the Great Depression, when we think about what the Vietnam War looked like, when we think about even what policies look like today, framing this in the context of, well, what did this mean for this group, is a really powerful way to build empathy, help our students think about multiple perspectives, and that should not be ignored in instruction. The second reason why Hispanic Heritage Month needs to be a priority is, honestly, it will be educational neglect to not address the contributions of folks from a Hispanic background. And here's why. We're talking about the fastest growing population in the country. We're not just talking about Mexicans. Mexicans represent about 60% of Hispanics in this country. We're not just talking about foreign-born folks, because over 60% of Hispanics in this country were born right here in the United States. By not taking the time, if not just for a month, but for the entire year, to regularly recognize the contributions of these people, what are we doing to our kids when they grow up in a world that is majority minority? That phrase doesn't really make any sense, but I'll use it for a lack of a better one. And they don't even really know who the people are around them. How much will that hold them back? Don't commit educational neglect. Make sure you prioritize Hispanic Heritage Month. Last but not least, my final reason that Hispanic Heritage Month must be prioritized is this isn't a matter of history. Hispanic contributions are going on right this second. And if we don't look around and ignore it, we're missing out on tremendous learning opportunities. How many people know, for instance, that when Disney came out with the groundbreaking movie Coco, that they tried to trademark the Day of the Dead? But so many folks and activists in the Latino community was like, I don't think so. That's not going to happen. And they squashed that whole idea. Have you taken a look at around this country how many young Latinx folks are getting into political office? Are saying, you know what? It's our time? Stepping up to the plate? Do you want to look at some of the amazing youth activism that we're seeing around the country that can help our kids see that they don't have to wait until they get older to make a difference? They can do this right now? Teaching about the right now is one of the most powerful ways to get our kids animated and excited about what they're learning. So whether we're talking about the intense critical thinking value of a Hispanic Heritage Month framework, or we're talking about the educational neglect that happens if you don't do this, Or we're talking about the really important part that cannot be denied, which is the continuous contributions of Hispanic people to this country, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Hispanic Heritage Month has to be an absolute priority for instruction. So please make sure that from September 15th to October 15th, you have a plan to address this. And if you're really doing it right, you're not going to just limit it to this month. But for this month period, it is worth the time to make sure you're being a little bit more intentional than usual about recognizing the enormous contributions that these folks have made and continue to make in our country and beyond. For more information about how we're revolutionizing critical thinking, check us out at thinkLaw US on Instagram. Talk to you soon.